Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rotary After Hours. It is May 24th, and I am Marissa, your past president from last year. Josh is online, and we're going to try to co-lead this initial portion. We have a special guest, Grace, here, so make sure you have like your best happy faces on because she's going to be taking candid video or candid photos throughout our meeting. We have special guests here, Sophia, that rang the bell for us. And I think she is also a person who doesn't work. There we go. She is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can please stand, and we will say Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sophia. All right, just a reminder that we are going to record this meeting, and I think that's already happened. And we are going to welcome guests and visitors. So is somebody in trying to see, who is it? Laura. Lawyer? Can you come over here? Sorry.
I should know that. I'm the one at home that doesn't see people mostly.
Okay.
So we have a couple visitors. We have Margarita and we have Allison. Margarita's been a regular, so we will have you stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us your favorite summer activity.
Shalom, hello, hola. My name is Margarita. I just moved from the West Coast mid-December. I work with Big Brothers and Big Sisters as community engagement director. And my favorite summer activity is kayaking. Hello, I'm Allie. I am Brad's daughter. Likes to drag me here, and I'm not doing it again. But my favorite summer activity is probably boating. Thank you, welcome.
All right. And then we have a few people online that have joined us. Hi, Josh. Hi, Larry. Hi, Ashley. And hi, Alyssa. Did I get everybody on there?
You did?
Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, if you are making announcements, if you can please come up to the owl. I think we're getting close to perfecting this. But it really helps those people online if you can come and be in front of the owl so that they can hear. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Josh to make a couple of announcements. So Josh.
Thank you. Thank you, Marissa, for kicking us off. I appreciate it. So for those who weren't with us last meeting, our new 2022-23 Board of Directors was approved by the club. So congratulations to all of our new directors for next year and for our continuing directors. For those who didn't notice, the Moon Tune schedule was posted, which is always a highlight of summer. So perhaps we'll get a little Moon Tunes event going this summer for the club and have everybody meet down there. Wanted to congratulate Liz Filter for being on the Chamber of Commerce Better Business Summit. So congrats, Liz. I don't know if she's in person, but just wanted to say kudos. Next slide. We have Avenues of Service coming up August 16th. So I had sent out a survey last week looking for nominations of Rotarian of the Year, Rising Star for area Rotary clubs, and then project categories, which include international project, local project, youth projects, and things like that. So please make sure, if you haven't taken the survey, to hop on there and nominate some of our members and some of our projects from the last year. We appreciate it, and make sure you block August 16th because that's always a great event that we look forward to. That's about the extent of the details I have at this point, but more will be coming. So next slide, please.
I will just throw in there too that we have to put together 2 gift baskets, and historically we've always done a cash theme basket. If anybody has any good cash theme basket ideas or any gift basket ideas in general, let me know, please.
Couple mobile clinic updates. I know Marissa had posted some of these on Facebook, but just wanted to share. It's continuing to come together, but the timeline is still looking like it is going to be July or August. Considering Marissa, they were expecting to have it delivered like early May. It sure looks like there's more than 1 or 2 pieces still missing. So,
Yeah, I will say we did get pictures of the actual wrap today. It was like little teaser, like little tiny squares. And it's looking amazing. So really excited to see that.
Mhm.
The streets in town.
Awesome. Next slide, please. We've had a number of good, fun socials. So thanks to Steph Klein, the socials committee, for setting those up. And thanks to our service committee. We had highway cleanup, grow lacrosse, and then we had the Pettibone Club happy hour. So it's always great. I don't get to join in person anymore, but it's always great to see those photos and see so many smiles and people having a great time. So thank you, Marissa, for continuing to post, and thank you everybody for continuing to set up those events. Next
Yeah,
slide.
and just a shameless plug, I really appreciate all of you that have sent pictures in, because it's made posting recently really easy. So thank you, Lori, Caitlin, Stephanie, I don't know, Steph, Laura, anybody that sent me a picture, thank you. It's much appreciated.
Upcoming.
This here, Josh, if we want Caitlin to do service announcements.
Oh, yep.
Oh, okay, she says you can do it, go ahead.
Okay. All right, what am I doing? Tell me what I'm doing.
Okay, I got it, never mind. Tomorrow is our Memorial Day placement at Oak Grove Cemetery. So we will be doing that rain or shine. The forecast doesn't look great right now, but literally if we have as many people that signed up come, it will take less than an hour, if that. It's always a somber event doing that and recognizing the veterans that have served our country. So you're able to come. I think Grace might be there, depending that she doesn't run her cameras, to take some photos of us in action. I don't know if I said it earlier, but she's the one that's going to be putting together our new member recruitment video. So Caitlin can make a little pitch on the help we need after the meeting, if you haven't already been alerted. There's also an opportunity to volunteer at Juneteenth on Saturday, June 18th. And I don't remember if that sign up has gone out yet. That's okay. It will be coming out, and that will be signed up directly through Juneteenth. And then there's also one more that's not on here, and that's Riverfest fencing, and it's Monday, June 27th. So mark your calendars. We will, similar fencing to last year, so less than previous years. We will get $450 to put back into the community with whoever we choose to do. So the more hands, the less work. So please come out on that Monday evening and help put up Riverfest fencing. Let's see, Neil, do you want to talk about Rock the Boat or Rock the Rotary here? Come on up. Or, yeah, Neil. Sorry, I cut you mid-food.
No worries. So our Rock the Rotary year is happening June 14th here at the main, and then after the main, we're gonna go to Fathead Steve's, which is right by Driftless to Axe. And actually there, they also have free darts and free pool on Tuesday nights. So we got a bar tab down there, up to $500 that will cover. Shots are not included, so if you guys want to do shots, but otherwise, drinks will be on us, and we hope that everyone can come down and socialize and hang out.
Thanks, Neil. Also, staff has set up a social at the Loggers team, and that is on Thursday, July 14th. It's always fun to go out to Copeland Park and watch baseball that evening. So save the date for July 14th. All right. Anything else, Josh, from your end?
Nope.
We do have a couple that I just remembered. Where's Morgan? Morgan. Sorry, caught you mid-food. I think you have a light update. Maybe you want to share with us or no?
Sure.
Jay, come up here.
So this will probably be my last Rotary meeting. I actually accepted a job up north. Most of you probably know, but my boyfriend Elvis is up in Luck, which is like the middle of nowhere, for work. So I accepted a job in New Richmond, and my last day at the credit union is actually tomorrow. And I'll start up there the 13th. So I'll miss everyone in the club immensely. It's been awesome. I don't even know how many years. I guess I have to look back, but yeah, so everyone keep doing what you're doing. So yeah.
Is there a Rotary Club where you're going?
So I'll be working in New Richmond, I believe. They have one there. And otherwise, I do know there's one in Osceola, which would be far away either. So it will be different than our group, though. Actually, I know. So yeah.
I've been dreading this moment for a while because Morgan's just been a staple in our club and just somebody that I've personally been so fortunate and grateful to call a good friend. So Morgan, best of luck up north. We hope you come back and visit us often. We'll find a way to fry you back somehow. Good luck. We'll miss you. I also just wanted to express my sympathies to Caitlin and Stephanie. They lost their grandma this week. So our hearts and prayers are with you. And my public service announcement is life is short. So if you're lucky to have your grandparents, call them, tell them you love them. If your parents are around, call them, tell them you love them, because you just never know what tomorrow will bring. So I'm sorry for your loss, and you have your Rotary family that is here lifting you up. So I think that is it for announcements, unless anybody else has anything that they want to share. Sierra moved into the campground and it flooded. So now she's in the parking lot.
But tomorrow I'm moving to my campsite.
Okay, now
Yeah,
she's in the
tomorrow I'm moving to my
campsite.
It never actually got high enough that my site would have flooded, but I was like the fear that it was gonna flood, and then my parents were gonna be out of town to like show me how the camper works, and yeah. But some point this summer I'll have some kind of social thing at the campsite, so we can have a campfire and enjoy
That'd be super fun. I just also don't know, I guess, Josh, is there an announcement about the video after, or should we just insert that right now?
Why don't you go ahead and put it in right now?
Okay, Kaylin, could you just share a little bit about the video, and I don't do it justice. So you-
So a lot of you already know, but we got a $1,000 grant for a new member recruitment video. And so that's why you see our lovely Grace here. She's a friend of Dustin McGee's through the La Crosse Community Theater. So she has graciously agreed to help shoot some footage for us and then edit together a video. We're thinking like approximately 1 minute and maybe like a 30-second video or version as well. So she'll be getting some footage during our meeting here. And then I specifically asked some of you just to make sure we have people available, but anyone is welcome to come. We're gonna head over to Meter to shoot some interviews. We'll just ask you some, pretty basic questions like, why did you join Rotary? Like, what do you like about Rotary? What are some good memories that you have from your time in Rotary? And hopefully include a couple of good clips in that video. So if you have any questions, I'm sure Grace would love to answer anything because she's like the expert professional videographer over here. But if anybody wants to join us afterwards, please head over to Meters, half a block away. So it should be pretty fun. And if you have any other questions, let me know.
All right, last call. Any other announcements that anybody wants to make? All right, then I am going to turn it over to Amy to introduce our speaker for tonight.
Hello, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I have reached out to Nicole Millerin from Brave Spaces, who provides mental health services in the La Crosse County and now Monroe County, which I'm super excited about the work. So she's going to share the services that they receive and kind of the mental health that's going on in La Crosse County. So just some statistics. Mental health conditions are increasing worldwide. 1 in 5 adults are experiencing mental illness. That's nearly 50 million Americans. Suicide is the 4th leading cause of death between 15 and 19-year-olds. And anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the US. So I will welcome Nicole up to kind of share some more. So we're just gonna play a little song for a second. Make it louder.
Because I'm happy alone if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy alone if you feel like happiness.
All right, I'm gonna come back to that. So my name is Nicole Miller and I'm a clinical therapist at Brain Spaces. One of the things about our agency that we think is really important is we added the wellness piece because not a lot of people, well, some people think that they're not the type of people that would go to a hospital. Not me, someone else can, my brother can, my sister can, my friends can, but not me. So the other piece that we do, you guys met Rufus. So we have 2 dog trainers and 4 dogs to provide canine assisted skills. So it's not technically dog therapy, right? Because there really isn't such a thing. We also have trauma sensitive yoga. And in August, we're starting art therapy. So that's just a little bit about us. You know, one of the things, and I appreciated Amy asking me to come talk about mental health is sometimes mental health just isn't talked about, or it's only talked about because someone's got a diagnosis or something big is happening. And big meaning I'm falling apart, I can't get out of bed. But what about the other times in our life? I'm functioning, I'm a parent, I have a partner, and I'm functioning, but I'm not doing so well. And how can we talk about that level of mental health? And maybe it doesn't rise to the level of you needing to go see a therapist, but how do we even have those conversations with people in our lives to talk about my feelings, my thoughts, and have it not looked upon like you're going crazy and why aren't you on meds and things like that. So I wanted to open that up as well. So similar to Amy showing some statistics, you can find stats out there, but what does that mean to any one of us? If you're a stats person, you kind of love it, right? You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like 1 in 5 adults live with mental illness. Almost 1 in 25 live with some serious mental illness. 50% of chronic mental health starts before the age of 14, 75% of mental illness before the age of 24, and then over 10 million people over the age of 18 have more than 1 addiction of mental health. I mean, that's only what, 2, 4, 5 lines about mental health. And what if we only talked about these 5 lines? But there's so many more lines out there, whether or not we're talking about the impact on mental health providers. So 73% of healthcare providers feel that their family's life is at risk because of their job during the pandemic. I mean, that was a really hard click. I mean, as a therapist, I know what it was like, but I can't even fathom what it was like to work in a hospital, right? And so not only are we as a globe, right, this isn't just a US piece, we're talking about the clients, and then we're also talking about the providers who provide services to clients. So the mental health is across the board affecting all of us and all of us differently. And how can we bring in some level of acceptance and conversation about what has happened in our country over the last 2 years? Because it wasn't just the pandemic, right? We had the pandemic, we had certainly a division within politics, and we had certainly a division with races, right? So we had 3 major things happen in 2 years that was like no other, and they all happened all at once over the course of 2 years. So one of the things about statistics, again, is what does it mean to me? Where do I fit in there? So either this slide or this slide. One of the things about in the La Crosse area that I wanted to send out is just some thoughts for students. So La Crosse County, or the La Crosse School District did a survey of 1,200 high schoolers who returned it. I was like, dang, they don't even do your homework and you got 1,200 students to return the survey. But they did. 80% of the 1,200 said that they have something happening, some emotions, and they didn't tell anyone of like an adult or a professional. They only told their friends or no one. Those were the options. I told my friends or I told no one. 80% of those 1,200 kids are not talking about it. And so, yes, there's probably lots of reasons why. And how are we all going to be part of the answers about how we switch that 80% to maybe 20% are not talking about it? So it starts with at home, with your siblings, with your friends, with your parents, however old they are, right? Talking about, hey, gosh, that was really hard for me. Oh my gosh, when the shooting happened in La Crosse. You know, any kind of topic really has the doorway, the gateway to talk about emotions. However, I might have somebody in this room, statistically, there's probably 2 or 3 of you who really don't enjoy talking about big feelings. We don't do that in my family. I'm fine. I'll get over it. Put on your big girl pants, pull up your bootstraps. Whatever that was ingrained in your head, also in some, sneaky way tells us that we shouldn't, or we can't, or I will be less than if I talk about this. So one of the things that I think in terms of helping each other, helping our kids, helping everyone in not only just this community, is to be that role model ourselves. How are we going to start talking about that talk that people don't want to talk about? So I think that's really, really an important piece to mental health. Thoughts, I want to pause because I can just talk about that. What's coming up for you as I show statistics, as I talking about those big things? Yeah. Yeah.
Definitions. The difference between serious mental illness and chronic mental illness.
Yeah.
Just so I understand.
Yeah. So, which is interesting. So when it's chronic, it's usually 2 years or more. Right? It depends in the diagnostic manual, each diagnosis has a different criteria. Some of them is 6 months or longer, this has been happening. So chronic is a longer chunk of time that this is persisting. It's a really great question. So it could be a serious illness, like depression, schizophrenia, those kind of things. But what if it's just now arising in the past month, when it's not chronic, and it's just in a short time that it's presented. Yeah, good question.
The stats.
Yeah.
Did the stats around how much people want to talk about it change when it's chronic versus?
I didn't look that up. That's an interesting question. So the question is, if someone's having a chronic mental illness, do they talk about it less or more? Which is, I think that there's so many factors to that. One of the things is, what's your first name?
Nathan.
Nathan and I are partners. I have chronic depression, right? So maybe in the beginning, Nathan and I talk about, well, what about 1 year from now? What about 2 years from now? Nathan, you know what? Nicole, just deal with it. He might have been the best partner, but now 2 years into this, that's a lot for partners, right? And so I think it changed, like who do we have on our circle to bring those things to? And if it's only one Nathan's in my life, I might shut down, right? And then I have to find other ways to cope with that. And it's usually through some form of addiction, even healthy addictions, workaholics, exercising, something, yeah.
Are there programs in this area to model for people how to speak to their kids or other people about this?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, so we have something in the community called RTIC. So it's Resiliency Trauma Informed Care. Have you heard of it? Yeah, so it's It's volunteer. If you guys want information, they have great trainings which are free. It's anyone and everyone in this community coming together. So I remember when I was at one of the trainings a couple years ago, I sat across the table from a woman who works at a bank. Like, this is not her profession, right? But does she come up with pretty angry or belligerent or emotional people at a bank? Sure. Cool. What did you go to school for? Not to deal with emotions. You dealt with probably money and figures and I don't know what people go to bank, you know, right? And nothing against that, right? But I'm sure that you didn't have a course on how to deal with disgruntled until you went to the bank. But then there was some course about this client's not very happy, right? How do you make them happy? So that doesn't really help me like really hold the experience. Does that make sense? Better Together, you just go to that website and they have lots of trainings on there, totally free. And things like this. A lot of us in this community feel really passionate about giving back. I talk to my colleagues, give back, give back, give back. What are you doing? What are you doing? Because who can we talk to and how can we get in front of, and not just you guys. I'll go to elementary schools and talk about big feelings, middle schools, high schools, elder care. So it's a lot of threads woven together to make a change. Very good question. All right, just interrupt as things come up. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings. All right, so one of the things in my practice that I have found over the course of the last 2 years is the impact on typical people. I have had more typical people come into my practice over the last 2 years than people with chronic mental health. And so what I mean by that, here's an example. So a couple months ago, I met with a 16-year-old male and his parents. Zero trauma, good kid, good grades, sports, friends, loving parents. I talk to my parents, I tell my parents stuff, I'm not in trouble. Then COVID hit. And he works through COVID similar to a lot of people, right? I didn't have very much contact with my friends. He was a straight A student that started getting C's and D's. He did not do online very well. But because he had such a typical life, guess what they didn't really have to talk about? What do you guess? Struggles, right? His life was so good. So I got a big smile on my face. I said, you know what's wrong here with those two people? I pointed to his parents. I said, they've done so well that you didn't have to deal with anything. And the reason why it was so hard for you to come today is that you're such a typical kid that they didn't give you all this crap to deal with. You know, and he laughed and he's like, ah. But no one helped him make sense of the fact of why was it so hard for him to come forward. I mean, it was a good year before he talked with, he started cutting, he was isolating, he cut off his friends, he was suicidal. He was not himself, but he didn't know how to do that because no one talked about struggles. And I'm not saying go out and do struggles with, you know, like create struggles, but talk about struggles. Talk about your own struggles, right? I was with a client last week and she just said, my parents didn't argue in front of me, but they also didn't make up in front of me. So what did they have? They had no arguments, they had no problems, which that's fine if that's the case, but then shouldn't we talk about that too? Like, you know, this works out, but you know what, not all families are like this, or we have some stuff, you know, listen to NPR, talk about the news, get off your phone, you know, right? So how do we talk about the struggles? And I think that's the other piece about mental health. So over the past 2 years, my typical clients are actually having a harder time. So I was talking with this young girl, she's a high schooler, very popular, and she came in with her mom, and then I kicked her mom out. Kids love when I say that. And she said, you know, one of the things that's hardest, Nicole, is I have a really great relationship with my mom, but she sees this all the time. And it would be so painful for her to hear how much I'm struggling. So again, all of the typical people over the last 2 years didn't know how to talk about this with people because it was a different feeling for them and it was a different presentation to their friends and family. And when we can learn to be vulnerable, I think that's our greatest strength. But we don't talk about that, right? Vulnerability is for wussies. Vulnerability means you're not doing so well. Vulnerability means whatever vulnerability means to you or what was instilled in your brain. And so one of the things that I talk about when I train is vulnerability, I truly believe is our greatest strength. So when I talk about what I've struggled with, and I'm a damn therapist. I'm sorry. Like, sorry. Sorry. And so I think, if I can talk about what happens in my family or the struggles that I go through, oh, maybe someone else can do that too. And so here's just another aspect about mental health that we're not always talking about, because we talk about the mental health with the statistics. We talk about maybe what's happening with other people. But how about all of us, just regular people? How are we doing? We're not doing so well. And if that were the case, we wouldn't have the level of addiction, we wouldn't have the level of obesity or divorce or all of those statistics. And a lot of those are connected to the mental health, right? And really what that means for me is just something's not going well, right? We're arguing, we're not happy with ourselves, our lives, our partners. Yeah.
Not sure if you know this fact, but
Probably not.
I just learned a couple of weeks ago that life expectancy, college age and younger, is going down. Do you think that might have something to do with it?
What mental
As they
health?
get older, life expectancy, goes down. No longer be 70s, 80s, 90s. It's going to be 50s, 60s, 70s.
Which is so interesting. I mean, one of the things that and we are a clan group culture. I mean, that's how we survive, right? But what have we been doing on our phones, in our separate spaces, right? Since where COVID is decreased, I'm telling people, no, I don't want to meet online. No offense to online. I don't. Can we meet in person? Over the last 2 years, but it was before COVID, right? The technology and the number of couples that I see, they're fighting about, sitting on the couch next to each other, and I don't feel I'm as important. I had a session with a couple, and he was saying, well, when we watch the show, well, I don't like your show. Well, could you just watch it instead of being on your phone? And she's like, but I don't like it. And then she was missing the point. What's the point? Spending time together. She thought it was about the show. Turn the channel. Or just do it because I want to be with you. And then I can talk about and make fun of your stupid show. Right? And so, but again, part of that mental health has to start with us. And I say this too, right? My kids have to hold me accountable because I can work a lot, right? And so, my kids are teenagers and I still have to put my laptop down, or I have to literally shut it when they come over and let's talk, or there's some other conversation. So it's got to start with us, because I think one of the parts about, so coming back to your question, I think one of the parts about maybe why life expectancy is changing is because we are alone. Like the facade of social media leaves us feeling alone, even in our own friends and family group. And it's not true, but it seems so true. It seems like everyone else has a better life, right? All of those kind of things. So I hadn't heard that statistic yet. But it would not surprise me, because we are bred to be together, and that's our survival as the start of us. And so certainly loneliness is the impact of mental health is huge.
It seems like it's pretty common knowledge that a lot of social media posts are showing the rosier side of everything too.
Yeah.
So in turning the 80 to the 20, perhaps maybe there has been some kind of effort like that you would know if people are posting things that are a little more grounded and struggle.
Sure, which is interesting, because I have this conversation with my friends. But what happens when you're not smiling with your kids, your partner, your friends, and then you post, oh, I had a crappy day? Then everyone's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, that's not necessarily what we want either. It's not this pity party, because then some people think that, right? I think the intention, you just truly can't find the intention behind social media. What did I intend to put out here, right? And why am I sending that? And we can ask ourselves, why am I putting this out there? It's because I want to, it's a really proud day, or my daughter just had prom. I'm so proud and I just want to show the world, here she is, right? But I have to be clear about my intention. Did I post it because this, right? Why am I posting? Yeah, because I've thought, well, maybe I should just post a picture of my wife on the couch being crabby and my daughter's, like this. Maybe I should post that and go, welcome to Tuesday at my house. And people are like, God, that was stupid. Why did people write that? Right? I don't know, right? But I think it's part of a conversation. And I think all of what I want to make sure that I leave you guys with is there's so many threads to mental health that it's not just one. It's not just medication, it's not just therapy, it's not just those people, it's all of us. It's mental health, I think, as a collective, and maybe mental health isn't just about this diagnosis. I think we all have mental health, right, at any given point. Does that make sense? All right, so owning your own feelings or they will own you. This is easy for some people. They're just like, oh, Nicole, that totally makes sense. I own my feelings. I'm comfortable talking about them. But what if owning my own feelings meant that I got put down, or my mom or dad or my caregiver said, you'll be fine? Or I was just talking to a woman yesterday and she said, my dad's love language is to buy things for me, right? So it wasn't about addressing her emotion, and they have a nice relationship, but she knows that she can't own her feelings when she's with him, right? Because he replaces that with gifts. So certainly, if you have, I don't tout this because I get any money, but I love doing the 5 love languages quiz. So take that with your partner. Take that. There's one for work. It's called the languages of appreciation, because God forbid you can't talk about love at work. So it's called the languages of appreciation instead of the 5 love languages. So talk about how do we receive, and part of that then is meeting each other's needs. When we believe our needs are met, our emotional needs are often woven in there. All right, so one of the things I want to do, pseudo husband, can I have you help me? Sophia, there's one for you too, so you can do this. So the youngest folks that I teach this to are 5. And then I also contract at Lakeview Healthcare Center. So they're anywhere between 60 and 80. So one of the things I think is connected to, oh, sorry guys, I'll have them email it to you. So you can see it's pretty self-explanatory. So typically, anytime I do a training, I actually spend 45 minutes on this, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, but I'm gonna shorten it up for you guys. Do I have about 5 minutes left?
You have like 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I want you to take the time to, let's give it 5 minutes. Does everyone have something to write with? All right, I brought some. Okay, so I want you to take some time to fill this out. And then this is going to be a conversation with people in your life. And yes, I made this and I'm going to copyright it, so please don't change it, but I don't charge anyone. So if you want this, I will just tell me. Yeah, thank you.
Little bit left of that pamphlet.
So online, if you have a napkin or a piece of paper or anything to write with, It's on your screen and they're just filling it out, so you can fill it out, make 4 little boxes. Thank you, thumbs up. 4 big boxes. Okay, that was only 4 minutes. It's a lot of thinking. All right, so you guys, I want you to take that home. So what, if you, so I want to open this up. What first came to mind when you looked at this battery tool and you read through the boxes? Margarita?
I can probably right now.
Only because they introduced you that I know your name, so I might as well call on you.
Repeat the question order.
What thoughts or feelings did you have when you started reading through this or filling it out?
In my brain. Yeah, funny, I use this metaphor to explain how I feel. Sometimes I feel like I plugged in my phone all night, but I wake up still feeling 40%. So seeing that in this format is like cool. Now I can really get into my head, what is that 40%? And how can I actually put description towards these feelings that either I don't realize are an issue or that I feel because of all the background that I need to suck it up and I'm an adult and I don't got time for it. So there's that.
What you tell yourself?
Yeah, that was just me, the Margaret.
That's the story in your head.
That's
Yes.
my battery is now.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think the wording that you chose is interesting. So what depletes you and indicators of being depleted. I mean, when I first read this, I was like, those are the same thing. Like, how do you differentiate that? So it is interesting to me how you chose the wording and that there are separate boxes for all of that.
Yeah. Were you able to figure out the difference?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. Which is interesting, right? Because we often think that when I'm sad, everyone knows the indicators that they say, yes, I know you're sad. Maybe not, right? Because some people are sad. Some people are sad. We don't all have the same indicators of sad, right? So we can't actually see sad. We can't see it mad. What we see is my facial expressions, my body language, my voice, my tone, my pitch, my proximity. Do I get closer? Do I get farther away? Do I want touch? Do I not want touch? That's how I indicate, right? Those are my indicators. And what's interesting is when I do this in couples workshops is I have the partners fill it out on their partner instead of themselves, right? What are the indicators? Are you guys together? You're sitting together. So, and even for kids and parents, like what are the indicators? It's really powerful for people in relationship, no matter what the relationship is. I do this in agencies, right? Especially if you're a supervisor. What are the indicators when your staff member comes into your office, where they're at on their battery and how do you know? And then the last box for the, so the third box, what recharges you? If your staff comes in and you just want to talk about numbers, if you don't want to talk about productivity and you see that they're at 25% and you don't do a recharge, what's the likelihood that they are going to be as productive? We all know that. But do you know how many CEOs and managers and supervisors I've talked to that might see the 25% and still talk about productivity versus going to a recharge first? Because what do we have in our head? Exactly what Margarita said. I don't have time for that. What I want to convince you is 5 minutes of recharging with, how do you pronounce your first name? Jabron. 5 minutes with him is going to get me a heck of a lot farther. And Jabron is more likely to be willing to be vulnerable with me because I just welcomed in that 25% with no judgment, no shame, no blame, no guilt. We're just partnering together. And we didn't even talk about mental health, right? Because this isn't about what's wrong with you. I just want to understand like what's happening, what's going on. And the other thing about this is labeling the person, places, and things. And there's a reason why I chose a battery is because my husband right here might be a 75% depleter on some days. And other days he might be, in a month from now and 6 months from now, he's only a 25% depleter because things are much better, right? If we would have filled this out 2 years ago, a lot of people would have said, what depletes me is a mask, not seeing my family, having to cancel Christmas. And now 2 years later, it's something different. So I wanted to give you something, an analogy. I like using analogies that make sense. I love doing this for kids. Lots of schools are in this area are using the battery tool. It pairs with other things like if her school does zones regulation. I color coded it the same zones, the same colors. And we have a poster size. We have a big poster like this in our office. And so our staff just it's kind of nice. If I walked in and somebody had it at 50%, I better take a moment and just say, hey, what do you need?
We had at work, when I was chaplain resident at Gunderson, we had the feeling wheel, something like this, but also the feeling wheel.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how many people don't know how to actually even name their emotions. So I use it at my church.
Sad. Over and above, those are the 3 words. So the other thing, I'm just cramming literally an 8-hour training into 15, 20 minutes. Literally, what's one feeling word that you can use this week? Right? Overwhelmed. And then, right? And then using it and talking about it. What does overwhelm mean to you? What does overwhelm mean to you? Right? So again, having those discussions and those conversations. Yes, dear.
My cousin is a counselor at the school.
Your cousin is at your school? What's her name?
Miss Lick.
Becky Lewick? I love Miss Lewick. She's your cousin? I was just in a meeting with her today. So do you know the t-shirt contest that she does? She did the 4th and 5th graders. Have you seen the t-shirts that 4th and 5th graders make?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do that for my group. All right, so here's just a little snippet. I don't know how to move these people, but laughter is the shortest distance between 2 people. Depending on how big or small your bubble is, right? Okay, so if you could play my song again for me. Yeah, we can hear it. Sorry.
Because I'm happy all alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy all alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy all alone. If you know what happiness is.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pick on my pseudo husband again. It took you literally 1/1000 and his leg was bouncing, right? So one of the things, I don't know if music is a recharge for you, if you put it down there. This song is a recharge. I try to start almost all of my trainings this way, is finding what our recharges are in our life is super important. And it's not just the people in our lives. What are the things, what are the places, and things aren't necessarily tangible, right? Walking out and standing in the sun, I've got sunscreen and promoting cancer and having that on my face is a huge recharge in the morning, thanking God for that. So that's 2 recharges right there, my connection with spirituality and the sun. No matter how crappy your day is, how can you make sure that you're recharging? And how do I know what my recharge is? Because one of the things that Margarita said, I know I'm gonna finish. One of the things that Margarita said is, I might get up and I'm only at 40%. I thought I did a full recharge, like my battery is completely full. And what Margarita, thank you for being vulnerable, said is I did my sleep and, I live in a house, I'm not in a tent in the street, I have a full belly, and I was like this. And I had a couple bars that weren't full. And what was that? And oftentimes we think that we're recharging, and some people put electronics on their list, or they put, YouTube, or my kids would put TikTok, right? But is that really a recharge, or is it an escape? So we have to really get connected to, are our rechargers really recharging us? So, all right, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So as you kind of talked about, mental health is not something that people like to talk about. So if you had a recommendation for someone who may need to speak with someone, like how can you present that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would talk about mental health and don't use the word mental health. I think the best way to talk about mental health is just talk about how we're feeling and how life is doing and what's hard and what's not hard. And if you have a person who has an avoidant pattern, I'm fine. Life is good. Well, gosh, I don't know how you do it, but man, work has been hard, or things with the kids. Maybe you've got some advice for me. All the while, they're total BS in you, right? And, sometimes in this relationship, and maybe this sounds too therapy, but I can't not talk with this. In this relationship, I always share like my big stuff, but you never do. Like, how do you do that? And they still might not be able to go there. And one of the biggest things is the level of understanding. I'm just pointing at you. She's not saying she's the one. The level of understanding, the cloak and the veil that person has about not talking about their feelings was developed for a purpose. And it probably goes back decades. Right? So their inability to talk about their feelings is a cover for a purpose. And there's so much fear about taking that cover off. So sometimes just welcoming that in, being present, little snippets. And then sometimes also just being bold. It just seems like not really happy. Have you ever considered talking to someone? And I wouldn't think less of you. I just wanted to put that out there, and maybe people have been afraid to bring that up to you for something, right? So there's lots of different approaches depending on what's comfortable. And if it's not comfortable, you're going to stumble, and then you're going to make things weird. Yeah, good question.
One more.
One question? Okay. So I want to
thank Nicole for coming today. I work with Nicole and I work in the mental health field, and Gray Spaces provides a lot, like she said, K9 building skills that we met Rufus last time, therapy, art therapy. She does trainings, there's free trainings in the community that Nicole does, social security. So look out for those with Gray Spaces. Lacrosse County also with the Trauma Informed community, they put on free training, so keep your eye out on that. Nicole, thank you for talking with us, sharing statistics about mental health awareness, discussing emotions and how we can put those up for ourselves and our loved ones. And providing us with battery. Oh, you're supposed to be in front of that. Oh. And then also helping us find out ways to recharge for ourselves. So, thank you.
Do you want your pen back?
No, but I'll take my pencil.
The pens probably have our name on it, but I'm a pencil gal myself. Yeah, no, I think those are our pens, so. Yeah, they're really good. But if they're Gray Spaces. Oh, see, here, I'm just gonna promote our friends at Peace of Mind, so, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a really super exciting meeting next time because President Josh Mancy is going to be back in town for his final, he will have the last meeting in June as well, but he will be here live, kid you not, first meeting in June. And that is our Rock the Rotary year. So like Neil said earlier, we'll have a meeting. He'll recap all the great things that we've done over the last year. And then we'll go celebrate with drinks on the house. So hope to see you there. Just a reminder, if you are willing to give a quick sound bite, Caitlin will lead the troops over to around the corner to meet her. To do some quick videos. I'm really excited for Grace to put that together and capture all the smiling faces and great things that everybody has to say about Rotary After Hours. If you're willing to stick around, Lisa has a couple handouts for cleanup. Appreciated all of the help. It's gone really fast. We'll set up and take down. So she has a couple handouts. Is there a membership meeting?
Just real quick.
There's a quick membership meeting right after this. And just a reminder that Memorial Day flags are tomorrow. If you don't know where to go on Oak Grove Cemetery, I'm sending out an email. Caitlin will send out an email tomorrow. My dad was asking me, and I was giving specific. So beware, my dad's coming. And I think that is it. Josh, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
Nope, sounds great. Thank you so much, Marissa. And thank you, everybody. See you in a few weeks.
All right, if we can stand and recite the 5-way test, and then we will officially conclude. Where's my little bell ringer? We'll see if she gets out fast enough. Okay, of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth?
Is it fair for all concerned? Will build goodwill have better interests? Will be beneficial to all concerned?
And is it fun? And we're done.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
It's the longest one.
Finding you.
You're the longest one. It's like 10 steps, dude.
Is there really?
One, two people, anybody want else to stand?